Hi guys, and welcome to this simple CSS demo video. This is Jamie from System22 and webdesign and techtips.com. In this video we're going to demonstrate box shadow CSS. Now box shadow CSS has been around for a long time, but you can achieve some nice effects with it. We're using this simple demo site here. If anybody wants to use this site, the bare bones site can be downloaded from a link below this video. The text editor we're going to be using is one called Brackets. It's a free text editor, and again you can download it and use it from the link below this video. So if you have downloaded this site, once you've unzipped it, this is what you're going to get. Here's your folder with all your Bootstrap files in it. And our CSS file that we're working on here is down at the bottom, and it's just called simple. And if you've downloaded the brackets, all you need to do is a right click and open it with brackets. If you're using your own text editor, that's fine. This is where you need to load the file from. So box shadow. We've got three little boxes here. Let's start adding some box shadow to them to demonstrate what we can do with it. So I'm using Google Chrome here. It's great for doing live CSS. And all I need to do is hit the F12 or Control-Shift-I, and it will open our Inspector tab. Let me just pull that up a bit. Roll that up so we can see it. And what we want to do is select the elements that we want to work on. So I want to work on this little box here. So I'm just going to right click on it and it should select it for me. There we go, it's right there. Div class of box. And as you can see, it's got a border. Over on the right hand side here is our CSS. On the left hand side is our HTML. And it'll be CSS over here as long as you've got the little styles tab highlighted here. So as you can see, it's got a 2 pixel solid black border. And we've got some padding going on. So let's add some box shadow. I'm just going to left click and add box shadow. Colon. And let's say 5 pixels by 10 pixels, and I'll show you what these do, and give it a color of grey, say. And as you can see, because these have all got the class of box, it's applied it to each of these boxes. But of course, if we refresh, let me just copy this. In Chrome, if we refresh, this will disappear. Because this is non-destructive. To actually make it permanent, we need to put it in our CSS file, which we will do in a short time. As you see, when I refresh, it disappears. So let's just put that back quickly. This is why Chrome's so good. You can try things out without messing up your site or without actually changing anything. So the first attribute there, the 5 pixels, decides whether our shadow is going to be to the left or to the right. For instance, if I make that 15 pixels, you'll see it'll shoot over longer to the right there. And we can give it a negative attribute, minus, which is just a dash, and it'll shoot it out the other side there. And it's the same thing with the next attribute. The next attribute is top and bottom. So if I give it 20 pixels, you'll see it drops down 20 pixels or 20 pixels below. And again, we can give it a minus attribute, which will put it above. Okay, you're thinking, well, it doesn't look much like a shadow to me, really. So let's just put this back how it was. I mean, it just looks like a grey box behind the white box, and you're absolutely right. So what we can do, we can add a third attribute, which will be our spread. So let's say 15 pixels. Now you can see it's starting to blur out a little bit there. Looks a bit more like a shadow. So let's play around with it a little bit. Let's perhaps have it more central. So let's just delete that. I'll have just regular 5 pixels. And say 10 pixels. You can play around with it. Good thing about Chrome, you can play around with it to your heart's content. And that looks a little more like it. Our boxes look like they've got a shadow. I mean, you can take that up a bit if you want. And it gives it, that really does look like a shadow. It looks like almost like those boxes are hovering over that section there. And you know, if we take our border away, it will become even more apparent. So I'll just uncheck the border. There we go. And now you've got those boxes. They've got no actual border, but they're really standing out there. And it's a wonderful thing to use. Some people call it old-fashioned, but you can get some nice stylish effects with it. Okay, well, let's leave that there and just demonstrate it on another section here. Let's just copy that. I'll copy the whole thing so I can just copy it over. What I'll do is I'll apply it to this section above, so we've got a nice little drop shadow, or box shadow I should say, just below it. So if I right click on this section, inspect it, make sure I've got the right bit. There we go, there's our background image and what have you. So let's paste our code into there. Now you can see you've got that nice box shadow underneath there as well. And again, you can tweak it. It doesn't have to be a grey, it can be a hexadecimal color. Oops. Make sure we spell these things right and put the right things in, or they will not work. So it works equally well with hexadecimal or RGBA or whatever color attribute you decide to use there. So that's a bit of box shadow there. And like I say, this is not permanent because we haven't put it into our CSS style sheet. We'll do that in a minute. I just want to demonstrate one more attribute here. Let's go back to our little boxes. There we go. And instead of having the shadow outside, you can actually put it inside the box. And to do that, we just add another little attribute after the color here called inset, I-N-S-E-T. And as you can see, that's put that shadow actually inside the box there. That's a little more than we want there, so let's try taking that down just a little bit until we're happy with it, obviously. And I'll put 0 pixels, so that should be square in the middle. There we go. And what if I put 0 pixels there? That should be centered vertically. There we go. And we've got a 25 pixel spread, which means it starts off at the color, and 25 pixels later there's no color, and the color is gray, and it's inset. So that's another little effect you can get going there quite easily. Okay, let's say we're happy with that. We need to actually apply this to our style sheet. So let's copy it. Control C. Go to our style sheet, which we opened in brackets, and go down to the correct section. So it's our second section. Here's our boxes. Box. There's the border. We'll take that out in a second. We covered borders and paddings and margins in previous videos. Please feel free to take a look at those. And let's paste in our CSS here. Just tidy it up there. This one, I'm going to get rid of that border. Delete. Okay, let's go back to our site. Control S before we do, and we'll save it. Control S to save. And let's copy over this little drop shadow, box shadow I should say. I'm getting my Photoshop and my CSS terms mixed up. It's just copy this one over and apply it as well. There it is, there's the box shadow that we put on that one. So again, we'll copy it and take it over to our style sheet. This was in our first section, one with the background image. We covered background images in previous lectures as well. So we'll just drop down one and paste that in there. Just tidy that up and save it. Now if we go back this time when we refresh, let's just close the inspector. It should stay the same. We should still have that little box shadow there, and we should have that inset shadow in our little boxes here. So let's do a quick refresh. There we have it. Our CSS is now coded into our site in our style sheet. So there we have it. There's a quick demonstration of box shadow CSS. You can get some great effects with it. Play around with it, because you don't have to use grays. You can use all kind of different colors, and it'll make it look like there's a neon sign behind it. If you use light blues and light reds or greens and stuff like that, you can really get some great effects. I hope you've enjoyed that. If you have, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're interested in web development, take some of our courses below. We've got some huge discounts for our YouTube subscribers, and there's also some fantastic free courses down below this video too. So once again, this has been Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.